Ah, the Sunday comic. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Let's get started. So if you're wondering, by the way, why I start with this guy here in the middle of all my videos, he helps me focus the camera, make sure that I've got a nice, clear, crisp view of the sheet. So, and it's a good logo. I like the character. So here we go. This is the layout for a Sunday strip. This is 7.5 inches high. Let's call it right now. I'm sorry, 6 inches high, 13 inches wide. So that's your general ratio for a Sunday comic. I've got it in my head. There's a conversation between Wyatt and his dad, and I'm just going to shoot different angles. There'll be 6 images here. I'm not sure how big they'll be. It's not so important on a Sunday. I can divide them up here or in Photoshop. But let me darken up what I've got for sketch lines so you can kind of see. I'm going to start with a picture from the back. This is going to be Wyatt's dad right here. This is about as rough as I get when I'm just kind of putting in light pencils. I'm just using a darker pencil going over my light pencils so it shows up on the camera. But so here's the dad kind of sitting there, so obviously looking at the back of his head, and Wyatt will be sitting next to him, and they'll be looking out over a vista, kind of like on the side of a cliff maybe, looking out in that direction. Then we'll go to the front. What's going to be happening here is I imagine Wyatt's going to be asking a question. This is one of those father-son moments where son asks a question and father gives a nice, poignant, but long-winded answer. We'll have a punchline at the end. So this will be more for the front, and it helps me to see. I'll just kind of put in these lines to show where the face is looking. Yeah. His dad kind of looking at him like this, maybe making a hand gesture. I have a hand gesture right here, kind of palm down type gesture, like kind of giving the I don't know, but let's talk about it kind of look. Okay. He is going to still have to be back on one arm to hold this weight up there. That's kind of the first picture. That's the second picture, somewhere in those boundaries. I think I'm going to have one over here in the third. Wyatt's kind of in the foreground there. And this is his shoulders, this is his body, and his dad's kind of mushing out behind him. Once again, kind of looking out to the vista. There's his dad's more in profile there. What I'm immediately seeing, though, is I've got the figures the same size in these 3 panels, which does kind of bother me. It looks a little boring that they're all the same size and not really the same angle because I'm coming from behind, then coming to the front. It's a little less bad. Let me redraw that one. Let me see what else I got. Third panel, nice and big. We're going to get nice and close. There's kind of meeting eye to eye. There's Wyatt. There's his dad. They're going to fill up that whole panel that close to each other. Yeah, this is his dad's nose, right? Mouth, eyes. Some more extreme close-up over here. Then my favorite shots is a silhouette. This will be, now they're very small figures. And I do jump to a different size from here to here. I really wish I could do something different up here. I'll figure it out. And the last shot is the two of them kind of lying on their back as the final line gets read. Maybe looking up at the clouds or the stars, that kind of thing. That's how I plan on laying out this strip. I don't have the exact script. I do know generally what they're going to be talking about. There's some clouds in the sky. Right. So that's how I lay out a Sunday strip. I'm going to do a pass at the inks. I'll bring you back, show you what some of that looks like, and bring you all the way to finalizing. satisfied with the inking here. Of course, the next step becomes putting color to this. That's a Sunday strip. Now, I've scanned it into the computer already in case this doesn't work, but I'm going to try it for the first time, coloring with my watercolor pencils. Not my first time using these. Now, I love these watercolor pencils. Derwent. They're great because they go on like a colored pencil, but then with the addition of water, they spread. They blend really nice. And I really enjoy using them. So that's what I'm going to do my Sunday strip with. See if it works. See if I can get a traditional color look to my strip. Maybe make it set apart from the other strips that are available out, that are digitally colored, maybe done a little quickly. When I use these colored pencils, for the most part, I tend to put down an undercolor first. What I mean by an undercolor is it's the complement in the shaded areas of the skin. It's the complement of the skin color, or actually pretty much anything. I use a complement to make the shades. So in the case of skin tone, I generally put down a little bit of green or blue or purple, depending on which character. So for the father, I'll put down green, and for Wyatt, I'll put down blue as an undercoat. And again, what I'm doing is I'm going into where the shadows are going to be and add in the undercolor. I'll do this first frame with you, then I'll speed up and do the rest. But basically, again, I'm just putting the hints of where I expect the shadows will fall. Now they're looking almost into the sunset, so his back is going to be a lot in shadow. Just like that. The only time I don't do an undercolor is when I'm doing white. I use blues to show off where the whites are. So in this case, like his white shirt, I'll just use some darker blue where I expect the folds and the shadows to be darkest. The only thing about these colored pencils that I don't like to do is I don't like to use them for large areas. On this paper anyways, it tends to make the paper wrinkle. So for the larger areas like the sky and things, the background, I probably will use the computer as best I can to color those areas in. Alright, back of his shirt now. Wyatt's shirt. In my head, I have Wyatt's shirt as red sleeves, but a white shirt with red rings around the sleeves. So again, complement color. I'm going to use a little bit of green to show the shadow there. And for his complement, I'm actually going to use blue, not green, on his skin complement because he's a younger guy. The green generally makes the skin look darker, like a brown. He's got a tan or older. So that's why I use blue with the kids. And then for some reason with the females, I use purple just to kind of hint a little bit more towards a feminine kind of pink. Oh, and in the hair, I'm probably going to use blue and purple to get that black to go all the way to the top or close to the top. There we go. Yeah, let me put a little bit of white off his back here. Alright, I've got two different pinks for skin tone, for the Caucasian skin tone. This one here, which is called Crimson Lake. I go right on top of the green. You'll see what happens when I add water, how it blends in really nice. Maybe just a little bit past it to have it bleed. Everyone's still enjoying getting up at 3 a.m.? I know I am. House is still quiet. I'll shut it off in my office, talking on a low enough key that you all can hear me, but I don't wake anybody else up. That's the goal. So here's some red, two of those red rings. Red pencil I have, I'm not really in love with. It kind of ends up being more orange red than red red. Sometimes I add that same Crimson Lake. It's going to be super subtle. I don't know that anyone's going to notice except for me. And again, once I scan this in, of course I can probably add can bump it up when I want to. So this is medium flesh. I mean, it depends on your point of view, I guess, whose flesh you're talking about, but it is a pink that I use to finish up the flesh. Now, I don't cover the whole area, right? I want to leave a little bit of highlights for the sun coming up and the light bouncing off the skin. There you go. And the rest of the white is handled by a very light blue. This is Kingfisher blue. I don't know that any of you are going to try these pencils. I really do love them, though, if you get a chance and you're interested in color. This is my favorite medium for adding color to my illustrations. I will include a link to the Durwood pens, I guess, pencils, in my description to the video, so you have a way to get them off of Amazon. Blue. So there they are, having that father-son moment, looking up at the plane in the sky. Alright, so here's what happens when I add water to those watercolor pencils. Not a lot, right? Just a little bit. And have a curved brush like this. Go into the dark areas first. Kind of swirl around and you see how it's blending in. And yet still leaving some level of watercolor, puddling. But it takes up all that grit, all that open space between the pencil marks. The water really does a great job, I think. So I'm only doing the areas that I've put the under color first. Kind of let that sit in and dry. And this is Bristol board paper, smooth Bristol board. If you see my video on what the tools I use for cartooning, you'll see the kind of paper I use and the reason why. I don't like to have, with the pens, I don't like to have a lot of grit, so I use smooth Bristol board. You can really see how the blending is working on the blue here. Or I hope you can. The camera's picking that up. Just a little bit of a whip brush moving it around. Eventually I'll get around to doing some happy trees, just because Bob Ross. Now I'll go back to the rest of the skin. The undercoat area should be dried enough, but I don't force the blend too much. That is how I plan on coloring this whole page. But I will go in fast motion so y'all don't have to watch 2 hours of me doing this and babbling on in your ear. So we want to talk about the news of the day, though I haven't even checked. And I don't know if I can call it the news of the day. I guess we call it the news of the overnight, since it's so early. And I'm filming this on August 16th. I won't post it for a number of days because it'll take some time to finish this whole thing. But I'll post it when I have the words. Actually, I'll probably post the finished product with the jokes and everything. Alright, that's how I use these colored pencils. Hopefully that helps you see kind of why I like using them. I'm going to go ahead and put this in fast motion, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, I did want to make this into a bright sunset. That was my goal for this one. I'm going to try to use as many colors. This is going to be the panel that should pop. Silhouette being the uh, contrast that I'm looking for. I'm going to put the sun right here in yellow. You're not likely picking that up, but I know it's there. Above the yellow, some orange. We'll see by the end of this if I really know what I'm talking about. And then the pink. Oh boy. I feel like I'm getting myself into some trouble here. I do a little bit of talking in my day job on creativity, what it really is. Creativity turned out to be the combination of three things. Let's see if I can remember them. Motivation, uh, ability or technical prowess, like being able to handle the pencils or write the code. And then the biggest piece is the creative, or the piece that I think is most important, often missed, is the creative thinking skills, and that is things like this ability to be okay with taking a risk, being okay with failure, just getting up and trying again, like being able to work despite not having all the answers, you know, that little bit of ambiguity not bothering you, not setting you back or stopping you from trying something. All that is playing out on this one panel because I don't actually know how this is going to work when I put water to all this. I'm hoping it's going to look like a sunset, but we will see. If you start from the bright point, everything should get darker as you go further away. So I'm going from orange to purple, and I'll probably go into some blues too. The areas are getting bigger as you go away to kind of give this focal point down here. I'm going to go ahead and add some more yellow in, away from the sun a little bit, into where there's orange. So, can anyone be creative? I think that the answer to that is yes, but for some people it takes a real shift in mindset that, hey, it's okay to experiment and be wrong, or to make mistakes, like be comfortable with your mistakes. And not everyone gets to that place where like, oh, I screwed up and so forever I've done a bad thing. I don't think that I'm in that. Well, I like to think I'm not, but then sometimes I look at my own work and I'm like, geez, that came out bad. Not exactly, not at all what I wanted to do. Can I get past that? Am I okay with that? This might be one of those cases. We'll find out. Put some sky color in the background there. Some sky color in the background there is what I just whispered, as if I was talking to you, like you're right next to my ear. Alright, let's see what happens when I add water to all that. If it does what I was hoping it to do. Go into the orange. Fascinating work. This cartooning stuff. It's more art than I thought. The other part about this is as I'm writing the script for this strip, I'm growing more and more appreciative of the work of Bill Watterson and Burke Breathed, if I'm saying his name correctly. But Bloom County and Calvin and Hobbes and the works that I grew up reading the written word that they used in so many of the panels, especially the Sunday strips, because what I did was I went back and reviewed a whole bunch of Sunday strips from those guys. And it really was, you know, in a sense, some kind of poetry that they were writing, or essays on the human condition. You could say it that way, maybe. Boy, I aspire to be that good. I think there are probably worse people I could emulate than those guys. A little bit of Jim Henson in there for good measure. His oftentimes Kermit told you something about yourself that you didn't recognize until a frog told you. I think you'll agree. Alright, that's kind of what I'm going for. I think with some ink and maybe put a horizon line silhouette down there too. That can look like a sunset. If I do something like, let's see. If I do something like this. Now that's wet, so I don't want to get too close to the water there, but then I put in those happy trees we talked about. There's a forest out here, right? On the horizon. Now you get the happy trees. Now I think that's still wet. Yeah, I don't want to touch it too much. Look at that. That about worked out like I wanted it to. Who'd have known? Almost looks like they're looking at sunset. Guess I could put them at a lake. Maybe put some reflecting down there too. Leaving the space up here, I imagine that's where the word bubbles are going to go. Not so bad, right? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and go back to fast motion, not to keep you too entranced, and then we'll come back and finish this up. Alright, here's the final piece. Pretty happy with it, actually. I'm going to bring it into Photoshop, do some little Photoshop magic on it, and then I'm going to put the letters, put the gag in, or actually it's less of a gag, more of just a nice little story. I'll put the words in, and I'll show you what that all looks like. That'll be the end.